Hello, my name is Sebbi, and welcome back to the coffee break in Minecraft. Today is Sunday, June 26, 2016. So, I do have some good news and also some bad news, and I really like to start with the good news, as good news are about great things that happen in the world, and so it's fun to talk about them, and it's nice to start the coffee break with some good news. Unfortunately, at some point I have to switch over to the bad news and discuss them as well, and as those bad news really make me angry and sad, I like to wait as long as possible until I really have to talk about them. But yeah, it's quite important to discuss them, so at some point I have to do this. But first, I like to talk about the things I like to accomplish in this episode. At first, I like to continue building the passes with the polished diorite. I'm not quite sure if I have gathered enough diorite in the last episode in order to build all the passes I like to have in my park area, but I'm quite sure I can make some good progress in building the passes. And then I will move on to the fountain. I really like to have a nice fountain in the center of my park area, and last time I found out that running water does not freeze, and this is quite important as we are at a quite nice elevation, and so water would just freeze, and in this case it's important to have running water, and this would be the case with the fountain. So I am now ready to start building a fountain, and I'm really excited about this. Moreover, I found out that breaking leaf blocks with an item that has fortune on it increases the chances of getting a sapling, and so I do have now a nice amount of jungle saplings down there, but I will leave those trees alone as I'm not quite sure how many jungle leaf blocks I will need in order to build all the hedges, and so yeah, those are the goals for today. And now, oh yeah, I think I have to clean up my inventory before I can really start with the pass building project. So let's travel over to the storage room and the cabin in order to store all those random items. And okay, the good news are that, well, they start with some bad news, but a medical evacuation flight has been launched to the Amundsen Scott South Polar Station. And as you might know, currently it's winter in Antarctica, so there the polar night temperatures can be as low as minus 67 centigrade or so, so that's really cold. And yeah, normally those workers that overwinter at those polar stations stay there on their own for 6 months, 8 months or so until the next workers can arrive there, because yeah, it's so ooh, I got some pork chop, that's nice, because that's so cold, and even fuel starts to become slushy at those low temperatures, so there is not so much you can do, and it's nearly impossible to get there during the winter time. And so mostly the crews are, what do I want to do? Oh yeah, I wanted to store some of those things. Can I get rid of something else? Well, I think I can store most of those other things in my tower. Okay, horse, we can now ride back. And yeah, normally the crews that overwinter at those polar stations are on their own, and they have to survive alone for 8 months or so. So they need a lot of supplies, they need a lot of fuel so that they can generate power and survive through the long polar winter. And well, they even have some medical rooms, or well, more or less small hospitals in the polar stations, because well, in case of an illness or of an injury, they need to have the tools and the beds and medicine and all the things they need in order to treat the injured or sick workers. And well, normally that's okay, but in this case one worker suffered from such a severe illness. They haven't released what exactly happened to this poor worker, but it must be very, very severe, as they decided, okay, we need to launch a rescue mission. We need to, I do have some iron in here, that's good. Okay, now I like to craft a new shovel, as my old shovel is about to break, so let's do this, very nice. And let's turn the diorite into some polished diorite, alright, very good. And here, so that's good. Now I can, get out of here. Alright, now I can continue with my pass building, very nice. No, come back, don't block. Yep. And so what do I want to, oh yeah, they decided that it's necessary to launch an evacuation mission to get the worker to a real hospital where the worker or the crew member can receive proper treatment. And as I said, the temperatures are really, really low, minus 67 centigrade, and at those temperatures, as I said, fuel can become slushy and you can't run engines with slushy fuel, so that's really a problem. And also hydraulic fluid, as it's used in maybe the Hercules aircraft, would freeze as well, so you can't just use maybe a Hercules aircraft that would be the perfect aircraft to fly to Antarctica and back in order to evacuate that worker. And this is really a challenge, but the only way to really get that crew member out of Antarctica, out of the South Polar Station, is by airplane. And luckily the Canadians have built the Twin Otter. The Twin Otter is really a reliable aircraft, and it's built to fly under those very, very cold conditions. I mean, it's built to fly in northern Canada, so, well, it's not as cold as Antarctica during the winter, but still, it's built to fly under those weird and hard conditions. And one of the main contractors is Canberra Air, and they are a Canadian-based company, and they supply Antarctic stations in Antarctica during the Antarctic summer. And currently all their planes are of course in Canada, because they also supply stations in the Arctic, and currently in the Arctic it's summer, so of course the planes have to be there. But yeah, now they had to fly down there in order to evacuate one of the crew members, and that's really a dangerous mission. I mean, as I said, temperatures as low as minus 67 centigrade or so. Wow, that's really cold. And I talked about this in the last episode. It's polar night, so it's dark, it's all the time dark, it's all the time nighttime. They are constantly flying in the night. And moreover, the distances are gigantic. I'm not quite sure if you have realized this, but when you see the Arctic Circle, the northern Arctic Circle is somewhere in the middle of Norway, and you can get up to the North Cape in Norway, which is at, I think, 71 degrees, 72 degrees. Well, it's definitely above 70 degrees north. And well, when you look to the south, or when you look at the southern part of our planet, then you will realize that the okay, now I think it's time to start building the fountain. Where do I like to have the fountain? Maybe I should at first remove that preliminary fountain to have some more space. Yeah, when you take a look at the southern part of our globe, you will realize that the Arctic Circle, or the southern Arctic Circle, is basically at Antarctica. So where we can have no ice and where it's warm enough thanks to the Gulf Stream, in the southern part of the world, that's not the case. So there is already Antarctica, and that's really, this always surprises me when I realize, okay, in the northern part we can go quite high until we really get into the permanent ice, especially here in Europe. As I said, in Norway, the North Cape is quite high, so at 72 degrees north or so. And yeah, that's okay. The sun is about to set, but I think this is a good thing or a good position to build the fountain. I do have a certain idea. I'm not quite sure if this will look good, that I have some slabs around the central part of the fountain. So here's the water, and then I have some slabs surrounding the fountain itself. Yeah, this might be interesting, but I like to have it a little bit larger. So let's do it this way, and let's remove this layer. Alright. And yeah, I think I should go to bed before evil guys start to spawn and keep me from going to bed or so. So let's get in here. And one thing I like to change is this pass is pretty close to the cliff, so I really like to add another layer of dirt there, and maybe even build some fences or so that no one can tumble down the cliff or so. This would be pretty bad, so I need to make sure that we have some safety measurements. All right, it's time to go to bed. And yeah, so distances are huge. And so they, of course, had at first to fly down from Canada to, well, Antarctica with their twin otter. And not only that, they used one twin otter, no, they deployed 2 of those aircrafts because, as I said, the distances are gigantic. And as it's winter down there, there are no other... Dang it, have I now destroyed that flower? No, the flower still exists down there. I like to grab it. All right. Can I get out of here again somehow? Maybe like so. All right. Very good. And yeah, so they used 2 of those airplanes, and their first goal was the British station. The British Ruthira base, which is at the Antarctic Peninsula, and this was the first stop. And there, they left one of the 2 airplanes because, in case of a search and rescue mission, that the first plane has to land due to an issue or, well, because something ran wrong during the flight to the Amundsen Scott South Polar Base. They had to have a second or a plane for the search and rescue mission, and so they left this plane at Ruthira. And okay, what do I like to use for the fountain? The water temple block, the prismarine would be nice, but I don't have access to it. Glass blocks? What exactly do I like to use for the fountain to make this thing look good? What type of blocks do I have available? No, I need to... Okay, this is now getting a little bit more complex than I have anticipated, because I'm not quite sure what material I like to use. And the clay? No, those colors are a little bit too bright. Let's check out the storage room, and then maybe I will search for some additional diorite, because I will need some more diorite in order to... I like also to have a pass around the fountain, then the pass to the sides of the park area maybe. And yeah, I need some more diorite than I currently have. I need to get rid of all the dirt, and then I have more time to actually focus on the topics, because I have the feeling that I don't make really progress in talking about the good news. So yeah, the distances are huge. They left the one plane in Antarctica Peninsula, and the other one departed south to the South Pole. And it's a really long flight. It's, well, the two stations are 2,400 kilometers apart from each other, and this results in a 10-hour long flight. A 10-hour long flight, and the although they have huge additional fuel tanks on board of their twin otters, the flight, well, the maximum flight duration is 12 hours. So in the middle of the flight out to the Amundsen Scott South Polar Station, they reach the so-called point of no return, and at this point they can't fly back to Ruthira without running out of fuel, and so they have to continue to the Amundsen Scott station, no matter what is going on. And that's really a scary thing, especially as, yeah, it's all the time, it's the polar night. They are the only plane that is flying down there, so yeah, no one else is around, and at some point they reach this point of no return and there's no chance to turn around. Then they always have to keep the fuel warm, and yeah, so that's really a crazy mission. And yeah, after this, a 10-hour long flight, they successfully landed at the Amundsen Scott base. And then they had to have, of course, a rest period, because after a 10-hour long flight, you really need to rest a bit and to recover from the stress of this long flight, and make sure, well, check the weather, if the weather is still okay and if the weather permits, to begin the flight back. And yeah, they were able to start their return flight the next day, and this was good. This was really good, and they managed to fly back to the British base at the British Ruthira base, and this was good. This was, of course, good. And now the okay, those items are still there. Can I avoid them, or will I just grab them when I? Okay, now they start to despawn. This is good. So yeah, okay, there is. What is this? Some snowballs. All right. Okay, I like to gather some more of this shiny white stuff. And yeah, so this is really great news. This is really a great evacuation flight. I mean, flying out there in these hard winter under those hard conditions in order to save the life of someone who would maybe die or so, because they don't have the means to treat the illness. And that's really a great thing. And I think this is really great news, that everything went flawlessly, that they managed to fly this sick worker out there. And this is really amazing, and I think this was worth sharing, and this was worth discussing for, wow, 18 minutes. I think okay, sword, no, not bow, sword, ow, die. Okay, this was unexpected. This was, do I have some dirt? Yes, I do have some dirt. Okay, I hope we can get out of here again. Alrighty then. This was exciting. This was exciting indeed. Oh dear, suddenly dropping down there. So, yeah, I saw this is worth sharing. This is so amazing. And okay, now I really have to mention the bad news before we run out of time. And the bad news is Brexit. Great Britain, what is going on? What is wrong with you? Why have you voted for leaving the EU? I mean, though in these days, working together is more than important. It's so important, and not only that, it's very important for the industry and for the economy to have the EU. It's also important for, yeah, all the other things. I mean, it allows us to travel between all the states of the EU without any issues. So I can just jump into my car and drive to Sweden or so without any issues or so, and you now start to opt out of this? What? Why? What is going on? This is so many sad news, and yeah, the EU is really one of the. Okay, so much about that pick. So it's time to leave, I guess. The EU is such an important thing, and we really need to work together, especially these times. And it's also so weird that those regions that benefited the most from the support of the EU have voted for leaving the EU. So what the hell is going on with you? Are you crazy also? How can you do something like this? How can you leave the EU? This is something that's absolutely weird. I mean, do you really think you can exist on your own these days? We are no longer in. Yeah, it's no longer the Dark Ages where you can just have your castle, then you have you pull up your bridge and you exist in your castle for some months or so. No. Those times are over. We are living in a better time. We have to work together, and great things like the European Space Agency or other organizations only exist because of the EU, and so many events are only possible because of the EU, because it makes easy to travel between the countries, it makes easy to connect with people, it makes it easy to work together with people from other countries. And you decide to leave all of this? Are you nuts? I really don't know what I should say about this. It's absolutely stupid. How can you do this? And yeah, it hurts, of course, the EU, but I think it will really hurt you. And when you really leave the EU, then you will have some severe issues. And I mean, just take a look at the economy. Just take a look at what happened to the British pound after it was clear that the Brexit will come true and that you will leave the EU. I mean, yeah, just take a look at this. It was stable for such a long time, for so many years. Then you decided, okay, let's to the EU, let's leave. Okay, I can't eat. Oh, this is why do I want to eat in the first place? I'm a little bit confused. I think it's also a little bit due to the sad news that I'm really not shocked. I'm just disappointed. How can you do something like this? How can you be so short-sighted? The EU is really the thing that can help us to achieve bigger things, to achieve things that are bigger than us, to really be competitive in the world. It's so important to work together, to support each other, and especially those regions who decided to vote again for leaving the EU have benefited so much from the EU, from the fundings. And there's some cloud in my tower. And yeah, I don't know. This is something absolutely sad and stupid. And why? And I read so many tweets from people. As I said, the European Space Agency is such a great thing, and I read so many tweets from British people working for the European Space Agency, and they are absolutely shocked because they really realize how important the EU is. And I don't want to use the words that are currently in my mind to give you a name, so I will just leave it up to you to give those people who have voted for leaving the EU, to give those people a proper name. But I don't know what is going on right now. And not only you are leaving the EU, we still have this Trump problem around. I mean, at first I can say, well, I'm living in good old Germany. It's your very own problem if you vote for Trump. But if this guy really becomes the president, then I think at some point I will get in contact with the issues caused by him, even here across the Great Pond. And yeah, please don't make things even worse. Please don't vote for this guy. It's enough that we now have this Brexit situation going on. We don't need a Trump. This would be a little bit too much. And yeah. So, from being absolutely happy about the great outcome of the medical evacuation flight and this crazy mission flying 2,400 kilometers, because the Rothera station and the Amundsen Scott station are about 4,200 kilometers away, a 10 hours long flight. And after I talked so much about those good news and I was so happy about this, I had to go over to Brexit. And I'm speechless. I'm absolutely speechless. I can't understand what is going on with you. It just makes me sad. How can you be so short-sighted? And so I think that's all. I hope you will be joining me in the next episode. And thank you so much for watching. Until next time, my name is Sebbi. See you! Thank you.